Forget everything you've been told about retirement. Seriously. That 40-year plan of scrimping and saving? It's a fossil. It's an old, faded map for a world that just doesn't exist anymore. For generations, we've been sold this one-size-fits-all path. Go to school, get a good job, feed your 401k for 4 decades, and then, maybe, if you get lucky and the market doesn't throw a tantrum right before you clock out, you get to enjoy your golden years. Let's be honest. In a world of economic curveballs, where it feels like you're working harder just to tread water, that old path feels less like a road to freedom and more like a recipe for anxiety. It's a slow, painful grind that often leads to a retirement that's anything but wealthy. But what if there was another way? What if you could stop playing a game that feels rigged and start writing your own rules? What if you could blend smart business moves with intentional life design to not just retire early, but to retire with true wealth, the kind that buys you freedom, options, and a life on your own terms? Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on 5 practical paths to financial freedom that your parents' financial advisor probably never mentioned. These aren't lottery ticket fantasies. They are actionable strategies people are using right now to build the life they want, decades ahead of schedule. So, if you're ready to ditch that old playbook, you're going to want to stick around. And hey, if you're serious about this, hit subscribe because we're just getting warmed up. 1. The Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Engine. All right, first up on our list is building what I call the Bootstrap Entrepreneurship Engine. Let's get real about the problem with the traditional 9-to-5. When you work for someone else, your income has a hard ceiling. Even with raises and promotions, you are fundamentally trading time for money. It makes building wealth a slow, linear, and painfully predictable process. You're a gear in someone else's machine, and your potential is capped by their budget. You can be the best employee on the planet, but you'll never earn as much as the owner. The solution? Become the owner. Specifically, a bootstrap entrepreneur. This means you start and grow a business with little to no outside funding. Why is that so important? Because when you don't take money from venture capitalists or outside investors, you keep the ownership. You keep the equity, you keep control, and most importantly, you keep all the profits. This is the game changer. It's not just about starting a business, it's about building a scalable asset that you own. A scalable business is one where your income is no longer chained to the hours you put in. Whether you're selling a digital product, building an e-commerce brand, or creating a service business with a team, the goal is the same. Create a system that makes money even when you're not actively working. Think about it this way. As an employee, you might get a 3% raise. As a business owner, you could double your revenue in a single year. The risk is higher, sure, but the reward is exponentially greater than any corporate ladder. This isn't just a side hustle. It's about building a cash-flowing machine that you can either sell for a life-changing payday to fund your retirement in one go, or systematize it to provide passive income that covers your bills forever. And the beauty of this is you're not just making money, you're building an asset. An asset that works for you 24/7, speeding up your path to freedom in a way a salary never, ever can. 2. The geo-arbitrage shortcut. The second path sounds complex, but it's brutally simple and effective. The geo-arbitrage shortcut. Here's the problem it solves. You could be earning a great 6-figure salary in a city like New York or San Francisco, but you still feel like you're on a financial hamster wheel. Housing costs are insane, taxes are sky high, and even a simple lunch feels like a luxury. Your high cost of living acts like a gravitational pull on your money, making it almost impossible to save a meaningful amount. The very city that enables your high income is the same one that drains it all away. The answer is something called geo-arbitrage. Simply put, it's about earning your money in a high-cost economy while living in a low-cost one. You strategically decouple where you earn from where you live. This move can instantly slash your expenses and turbocharge your savings rate from, say, 10% to 50% or even more, without earning a single dollar extra. With remote work and online businesses booming, this is more possible than ever. It could be as simple as moving from a pricey state like California to one with no state income tax. Or, for the more adventurous, it could mean moving abroad to countries like Portugal, Panama, or Thailand, where your money goes way, way further. Let me paint a picture for you. A nice breakfast for two in Bali, coffees included, might run you $15. In a major US city, you're easily looking at $40 or $50. Now, apply that 50–70% cost reduction to everything: housing, food, transport, fun. When your expenses get chopped in half, but your income stays the same, your savings rate explodes. The time it takes to hit your financial independence number could be cut in half, or even more. This isn't about escaping your life. It's about designing a life where your location supports your financial goals instead of sabotaging them. Geo-arbitrage is one of the most powerful and direct shortcuts to retiring early and wealthy just by changing your address. 3. The aggressive saver's flywheel. The third strategy might sound conventional, but I promise you, its application is anything but. I call it the aggressive saver's flywheel. Here's the thing about typical savings advice. It's built for a 40-year retirement. You know the advice: save 10%, maybe 15% if you're feeling ambitious. Let's be real, that advice is dangerously slow. Saving 15% of your income is a path to a late retirement. It's a tiny, leaky drip into a massive bucket you need to fill. It just doesn't have the speed you need to get free in your 30s or 40s. The solution is to flip the script and treat saving as your #1 financial mission. The goal is to build an aggressive savings flywheel by aiming to save 50%, 60%, or even more of your take-home pay. Now, you might hear that and think it's impossible. But it becomes possible when you get intentional. This isn't about being miserable or reusing tea bags. It's about intentional spending. It's about deciding what you truly value and mercilessly cutting out the rest. For most people, the big 3 expenses are housing, transportation, and food. Downsizing your home or house hacking a room can save you thousands. Ditching a huge car payment for a cheaper option can do the same. These big wins are what make a 50% plus savings rate totally achievable. But here's where the flywheel kicks in. You take all that cash you've freed up and you aggressively max out every tax-advantaged retirement account you can get your hands on. I'm talking about your 401k, your Roth IRA, and, this is the secret weapon, a health savings account, HSA, if you have one. An HSA is like a super IRA. It's triple tax-advantaged and a powerhouse for early retirees. By automating these huge contributions, you create a powerful, virtuous cycle. The more you save, the more your money gets invested and compounds. The more it compounds, the faster your wealth grows, which gets you fired up to save even more. Someone saving $60,000 a year will hit their retirement goal in a tiny fraction of the time it takes someone saving $10,000 a year. It's not a linear difference, it's exponential. 4. The alternative income architect. Our fourth path is all about shifting your mindset from a saver to an owner. It's about becoming an alternative income architect. The problem with most retirement plans is that they're dangerously fragile. The standard advice is to pour all your money into a 401k full of stock market index funds and then just cross your fingers for 30 years. Your entire future is tied to the mood swings of the stock market. That's a massive single point of failure. A big market crash right before you retire could be devastating. The answer is to architect a financial life built on multiple, diverse income streams. You're not just building a nest egg, you're building a resilient financial fortress. While index funds are a great foundation, the goal is to expand beyond them into assets that generate actual cash flow. So what does this look like in practice? First up, the classic real estate. Owning rental properties can provide a steady stream of monthly income, plus you get appreciation and tax benefits. It's a real, tangible asset that pays you to own it. The second pillar is a portfolio of high-quality, dividend-paying stocks. Instead of just hoping the stock price goes up, You're buying shares in solid companies that literally send you a check every quarter just for being a part owner. The third pillar involves exploring more alternative investments. This could mean anything from peer-to-peer lending to investing in private businesses. These can offer higher returns, but they definitely require more homework. The whole point of being an alternative income architect is to create multiple, ideally uncorrelated income streams. When the stock market is having a bad year, your rental income might still be flowing in. If you have a vacancy in a property, your dividend income can help cover the gap. This diversification of income, not just assets, is what creates true financial resilience. It's the difference between a single, wobbly pillar holding up your retirement and a wide, sturdy foundation that can withstand any storm. 5. The tax residency hacker. Our fifth and final path is the most advanced, but it's also one of the most powerful for building wealth fast, becoming a tax residency hacker. Here's the problem this solves. You work incredibly hard to earn, save, and invest your money. But all along the way, a silent partner is constantly taking a huge slice of your progress, the tax man. Income tax, state tax, capital gains tax, these can devour 30, 40, or even 50% of your money. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a giant hole in the bottom. No matter how hard you pour, a huge chunk is always leaking out. The solution is to strategically and legally optimize where you are a resident for tax purposes. Now let's be crystal clear. This isn't about illegal tax evasion. It's about smart, legal tax avoidance by playing by the rules of the system. At its simplest, you can do this inside your own country. In the United States, for example, moving from a high-tax state like California or New York to a no-income tax state like Florida or Texas can immediately boost your take-home pay. Over a decade, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars you can invest instead of handing over to the state. On a more advanced, international level, this involves becoming a tax resident of a country with favorable policies. Some countries have zero tax on foreign income. Others have special visas for investors that come with huge tax breaks. For someone who has built and sold a business, the difference in capital gains tax between living in California versus a tax-friendly country could mean keeping an extra $1 million or more. Look, this isn't a snap decision. It requires serious planning and talking to professional tax lawyers and accountants. But it's a core strategy for how the wealthy reach escape velocity with their finances. It's not just about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. By hacking your tax residency, you're plugging the biggest leak in your financial bucket, letting you fill it up years, or even decades, faster. So, let's do a quick recap of the 5 paths to a wealthy early retirement. First, the bootstrap entrepreneurship engine, building a scalable business you own to break free from a salary. Second, the geo-arbitrage shortcut, strategically relocating to slash your costs and supercharge your savings. Third, the aggressive savers flywheel, saving 50% plus of your income to rapidly fuel your investments. Fourth, the alternative income architect, diversifying with assets like real estate and dividend stocks to create resilient cash flow. And finally, the tax residency hacker, legally optimizing your taxes to keep more of what you build. You see the common thread, right? None of this is about sitting back and waiting 40 years. These paths require you to be active, to be creative, and to challenge the old rules. They are about shifting from a mindset of limitation to a mindset of control. Retiring early isn't some fantasy. It's a real, achievable goal for those willing to think differently and take deliberate action. These paths aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, they're most powerful when you combine them. You can build a business while living in a low-cost country, funding it with your aggressive savings. This is how you build a life by design. If you're serious about designing your own path and want to dig deeper, I've put together a free resource guide breaking down the tools and books I recommend for each of these strategies. The link is waiting for you in the description below. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If this sparked a new idea, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Now go build your own path